So firstly, take a screwdriver, Phillips type, and this is obviously a separate bridge for demonstration purposes, and it's quite poor lighting, but set it so that you have, so that it's in the middle of its possible travel and adjustment in either direction. So you're looking for, I would say that looks about 4 mil of thread sticking out through there, and maybe 5 or 6 mil in there, and that I would say is about right. And line them all up like that so that you can do lots of adjusting that way and lots of adjusting that way, and then you're ready to begin. So this is a lyre which is completely deflated and unset up, and I'm going to attempt to do this in real time, camera, battery life and card life permitting, and see how it goes. Right, so they're all floppy. Stick the bridge under there, somewhere between the two sets of sound holes, slots. Get it roughly lined up so that the strings clear the arms in the same place. Put a bit of tension through it to hold the bridge in place. It's going to be a bit boring as it's done in real time. Little clip-on tuner. Because the tuning heads are offset by about 2 mil to compensate for the width of the central pole, we've always got room to get our tuner on one side or the other. So then what we do, and I start out by ear, is that we set the intonation roughly by just going, and to me that one sounds a bit flat, so we move it a little bit closer to the bridge to shorten this bit and make it higher in pitch. That sounds better. And then we try this one. That sounds a bit flat too. And after we've moved the bridge, very often it pays just to lift the string out of the slot and let it replace itself, as that allows the string length to adjust. A bit flat. Check that one. And then once you've got it roughly right by doing it, moving the bridge around, doing it kind of by ear, then you can tune the whole instrument up and then fine tune each individual string using these saddles to adjust the length. So I might just turn the camera off to save the battery and tune up the instrument and then get back to you. Okay, so I've tweaked the lyre up to C, and these two are roughly right, and as you can see in between, I was hoping one would be like really out so we could go and adjust it. They're all reasonably okay. Let's find one that's a bit out. So this one is a little bit sharp, so this is where we use our screwdriver to intonate it. So this is the relatively complicated bit. So this is sharp, so that means that this length here, between here, is too short, and that's making it too high. So we need to lengthen it, and we do this by screwing the screw in which pulls the saddle back towards the bridge. We then have to go up here and retune it, and then check it again. Lift it in the slot so that it can adjust its string length. As you can see up here, there's the first note. And we mute that so we can't hear it. Click this one. You see it's slightly sharp. It's that much sharp. You can't really hear, but we'll see if we can iron it out. So that means that it still wants to be lengthened ever so slightly. So we just screw this screw on the saddle in clockwise and absolutely tiny little amount. Lift the string out of the slot so it can adjust itself. Retune the string. And we're almost there. Yeah, perfect. So that's how you intonate the individual strings for fine adjustment along here, having first found the rough position using the thickest and the thinnest string to get the bridge roughly in the right position. That's why it's a floating bridge, and that's why we can't have a fixed bridge, because we'd lose all that massive amount of adjustment with the bridge, and then we'd be relying on purely on this fine tuning, which, as you can see, is only a very small amount. But then luckily you only need a very small amount at that stage to get it dialed in right. Let's have a little go at this bottom string, just for a laugh. There's a little buzz on it. Very annoying. So tune up the C note properly. Lift it maybe just to check. Pop it out of the slot so that it can all adjust. You see it's slightly sharp. So again, we'll take our screwdriver, put it in the slot, and screw it in a tiny amount so that it pulls the saddle back and lengthens the string length there, making it a higher pitch. Lift it out of the slot. Retune this. Of course it's got a bit sharp because we've made the string, we've pulled the string a little bit tighter. Tune it good there. Mute it out. Check that one. Still a little bit sharp. Yeah, still slightly sharp. So lengthening it further by turning the screw clockwise. Lift it from the slot. Slacken it off a bit. Lift it in maybe. You can see we've gone slightly too far now, so that gives you an idea of how the adjustment is quite effective. Now, if we go out, so anti-clockwise, ever so slightly, that will pull the saddle in and shorten the note. Still slightly flat. You can chase it around for ages, but doesn't take long before the ear accepts it as being fine. Just might take a little bit longer to get your tuner convinced. Perfect. Sorted. So a word on string gauges. This is for the C major tuned one that we're dealing with here, for if you're in C major diatonic tuning, and that consists of a 30, 28, 26, 24, 22, 20 on top. And this is how the gauges run. This is basically just the complete run of available gauges, because of course the notes are a lot closer to each other intervallically than they are on a guitar, where it's a lot more open, a lot more sort of fifthsy, and so these gauges have to be quite close together. So we can extrapolate from this what other gauges we need to achieve other tunings. So if we go through, we've got C, D, E, F, G. So if we want to tune it to a G major scale, then we can start with a 22 gauge being our thickest string, this one here, and then go up through the gauges, which is basically it skips a couple of numbers, and that should, and if you go up 6 from 22, you'll have yourself a complete set of strings to play in G major. And you can work that using all these others. You can work out roughly what gauges you would need to play in a variety of different tunings. So when you come to change a string, here's a little tip. If you get the sorry, I'm all in my own light here. If you get the hole in the tuner pointing, I would say, sort of across that direction, and then pass the string through it, surprise surprise, pull it through, surprise surprise, get it tangled, less of a surprise. So you've got it to that sort of stage there, and then you just want it so that it's got a little bit of angle, pulling it off to the side through the hole, and then you bring the rest of the string back under itself and then pull it round the back so it bites on itself. Ooh, struggling to focus. And then when you tighten it up, I'm not going to tighten it up all the way because this lyre doesn't have a bridge on it. When you tighten it up, it will bite itself, and you'll have a nice clean angle coming off of there and no coils for the string to ground out on, so you'll get a much cleaner note, because of course there's no nut on a lyre, so this end here is your nut, and it needs to be nice and neat and non-buzzy, and this is the way to achieve it. I also use this on guitars and have done for 10 years, and never give me any trouble. It looks amazingly tenuous, but it's amazing how much force it will tolerate. And then you can, if you nip it off relatively short and then turn it back in a little curl on itself so that you won't stab your fingers when you come in to tune it.